salary for the Assistant Director of Capital Projects and Facility Management.
I'll start off. This is the assistant deputy's position in building maintenance and facilities. That's been vacant for several years, and as you recall, preparing the fiscal 24 budget, we had a vacancy factor applied to it, so the full amount of the salary was not appropriated. The other issue is that we haven't been able to fill that position because of the salary range, and we're seeking to increase that range so we can fill it with a qualified candidate. And it's more important than ever now because we've got a lot of capital projects on our plate that are going to start moving forward, and we need someone to oversee those projects. I've established a capital projects review committee. Mr. Tessino will be shepherding that committee, and that group will meet at least once or twice a month just to review the status of all our capital projects. And this person in the building maintenance department will be the key person in overseeing these projects for the city. And this salary, by the way, the proposed salary is consistent with the similar position that the school department has just filled.
Go ahead. Yeah, I'm sorry. Mr. Canton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I have some concerns about this particular role. First of all, I think it's we have a fantastic facilities group. I think, Mr. Palini, you've done a fantastic job recognizing the importance of having, plumbers and electricians on staff. They're worth their weight in gold. Those are really smart hires. Instead of considering that this has been a position that's been vacant for a number of years, I haven't seen, thankfully, through teamwork, things that we've materially missed through not having this role. I would feel more comfortable if there are ways that you can grow existing staff with added responsibility, pay them more. I'll gladly support that, so we can grow people into the role that is more senior and increasing with responsibility. I don't know if you have thoughts on that. I'd love to have that discussion, but I have some concerns about the request tonight.
No, I totally respect where you're coming from in regards to that.
Speaking of the mic,
I totally respect where you're coming from that. At the stage we're at now, I am the only person in the city that is certified by DCAM to be an owner's project manager. By state law, any project over $1.5 million, you have to have an OPM. We haven't outsourced that. So, yeah, I've been busting my tail for the last 2 years. And in regards to that, an owner's project manager, current cost is 5% of the construction cost for like $5 million. 6 over 5, over 10, it's like close to 7. Those numbers add up a lot, and there's a lot of work involved when you're functioning in that capacity. And with the amount of projects that we have on our plate and moving forward, without having someone that's having a second for myself that can cover, I can't be everywhere at once. And for the taxpayer who we serve, it would be not doing the right thing, because there is going to be something that's going to be missed, especially with the demand. I mean, we have a high technical project in regards to the regional dispatch. Marian is a very big project. The parking garage is going to be a sizable project. And there is quite a bit of other projects that we have that are in the pipeline right now, the roof projects, the exterior envelope of this facility. And they're all detail-oriented. And you need a staff person that has the background to understand the specifications, make sure that the contract is held accountable to give the taxpayer what we paid for. And it's difficult. It's a difficult age right now with construction. You either get someone really good or you get someone really bad. There is no middleman. Like, COVID has changed the dynamics quite a bit. And there's days I pull my hair out more than, I should. So with that moving forward, I hopefully you recommend transferring this money, because that's what that need is right now with these projects that we have on our plate.
I appreciate the candor, and I hear where you're coming from. And in a perfect world, all of the municipal resources would be there to do all the things we wanted to do and pay people what they're rightly deserved. As we read about, I think, $375 million being cut from the state budget due to shortfalls, I mean, municipalities will lag that, and I really worry about the future that we'll be in. So did I hear I may have misheard, there's a new committee, I'm sorry, but you referenced, Mr. Mayor, is it I don't want to put words in your mouth. Is there a committee that's an advisory group that's looking at projects, or what did I mishear?
No, what I said was that I've established an internal committee of representatives from departments that are involved in capital projects. So we're going to meet periodically just to keep an eye on the projects, so they don't have to worry about the day-to-day supervision of a capital project. Mr. Tassino is going to oversee that committee, but that's just a committee to keep track of all the projects. This is a position that's going to oversee the actual construction of these projects.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Tassino?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So one thing we didn't mention, we didn't want to get into what we had a few years back, where we had, two project managers on the city side and school side. We are still in talks with the school to combine and make a capital projects department. And so we wouldn't be asking for this position to be reinstated and end up with too many capital project managers like we had 4 years ago. And so we're anticipating a retirement or two at the school level. So if we were to add this position, it would probably eventually, if our plan came to fruition, we would need this position to look at all the capital projects, not just the city side, the school side. So that's the ultimate goal.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In the memo, it mentions that there was a candidate who seems like a good, strong candidate, but that you felt that the salary wouldn't be enough to close the deal with that person. Are they still interested, and is that an internal candidate? Or I don't know if you can say if it's an internal or an external candidate.
It's a very well-qualified external candidate. I haven't spoken to him. I don't know if Jim has, but I haven't. But he was very interested at that salary.
At the proposed
Yes,
salary, but not
not what we were offering.
current. Thank you.
So my concern is what it's been in the past. These are expensive positions. This is one area, though I think Mr. Paolini does a wonderful job on the municipal side, and I think the school does a wonderful job. This is one area where we definitely can combine, and it's not the administration's fault because it's not at all in their control. It has to be allowed by the school department, and they seem to have little to no interest in it. And it's just very unfortunate because we're creating two different departments from top to bottom to manage and operate our real estate that's owned by the city. To me, it's ridiculous. And this is, I think there's other areas we can combine. I think we can combine HR. I know some people say we can't, and I understand some of the arguments for that. I still think we can do it. There's other places do it. There's some aspects of finance we could probably combine. But facilities is a easily combinable operation. The only thing that stands in the way is people wanting to have their own position of power, so to speak. And I don't mean Mr. Paolini or anybody like that. I mean people at the top of the organizations. That's the only thing. Many towns and cities, including, I believe, most of our neighbors, have combined departments. And here we are hiring administration at high levels for both sides. If we don't do this, it seems a little bit unfair to Mr. Paolini because I understand the points he's making. But if we do it, the school department is never going to have, they've given great lip service to it for a few years, but they have not made any obvious moves to actually doing it. And really, the ball is in their court in many ways. And I find it very frustrating because we can save money and efficiency. And I think we're starting to see the early signs. It's going to get tight. I've been saying it for a while, and I've been wrong. I mean, COVID produced more money than we've ever seen in our lives. But the gravy train is slowing down, at least. Maybe it's not going to stop. The mayor alluded to it earlier. And these are the areas, these are easy compared to some other decisions we may have to make at some point. These are easy decisions, and we really should work on making those decisions. And I would hope that, again, recognizing this administration can't control it, I would hope you would strongly encourage the school department to at least make that change. And I would hope that would be, again, I've said this for like 3 years in a row now, one of the things we see in the upcoming budget. I'm not holding my breath. Yes.
So I just want to appreciate that we keep acquiring all of these properties and all of these projects, and that with that is going to come more capital projects and more oversight needed. So I appreciate that, like, you can't just have the physical infrastructure without having the support to it. So I would support this position being filled, and if this is what it takes, for sure, that we can have that project management. And didn't there, for the consolidation of services, Councilor King, that you were talking about, wasn't there a review process looking at that?
Like most review processes, I'd say it kind of fell apart. Is that fair?
It kind of fell apart.
It
Okay.
never came to any, it certainly never came, Mr. Steiner was a co-chair of the committee, so I don't want to speak for him, but.
Yeah, I mean, there was a proposal, I think there was an RFP, and as far as I know, it just never was
Right,
executed.
Yeah, I agree. So I think it kind of just fell into the wayside. Okay, any further discussion? Is there a motion?
Just briefly, it was one of those things that we were going to hire a consultant to,
Right.
and is it, boy, being a consultant's a great business because you can find an argument to do anything. I think the message, I would love to hear from the school department why we can't do this, if that is the position they're taking in the upcoming budget cycle. Because I think there is desire by the administration to combine some of these things, and I think the city side of things does a great job with the infrastructure that we have. But we're going to be forced. I'm not worried about the decisions we're choosing to make, perhaps in the wrong direction. I'm worried about the decisions we're going to be forced to make, and this does seem like an area, as Councilor King said, where if there's a time to do it, now's the time to do it. So I would. I would like to hear. I'd like to understand why we're not moving in that direction, if that's the case, whether it's tonight or, soon in the future.
I don't want to speak for the school department, but I can assure you that we've had conversations with combining facilities and capital. They weren't interested in combining facilities, but they are interested in combining capital projects team. And that's what we're slowly working on. It's not happening at a fast pace. They do have some retirements coming up where, the numbers may work. So, but the capital facilities, they're on board with that.
So
Well, if they're on board, why doesn't it just happen?
We're still talking about it.
So I wouldn't describe that as on board. I would describe that as arriving to the station parking lot, maybe.
Okay.
I would make a motion to approve as presented, if that's what we're looking for on this item. I don't remember if there was a motion.
I don't
Maybe
think
there
there's
was.
there's not a motion. Motion is made.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? 2-2, it does not pass.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
can I just say something about that vote?
Sure.
I'm very concerned if this doesn't move ahead. We have as Mr. Paolini said, we've got over a $10 million project that we have to do at Marian High School, and we have to obligate that money by the end of the calendar year. That's ARPA money. We have a project over here at 188 Concord Street where we're trying to outfit it for joint dispatch. And unless we get that outfitted, we're not going to be able to attract any other communities to join our dispatch. And that means we won't be eligible for state funds to do that. If we don't have this position filled, if we don't have someone added to the staff to help us oversee these projects and run these projects, we're going to lose the funding. And we're not going to be able to do these projects that we've been promising the citizens that we're going to provide. And I think it would be very short-sighted if we don't create this position, because we just do not have the current staff to do this work.
We don't have it in the city side, I agree with you. But let's get something combined with the school department. They have plenty of help over there. They've taken two of our people. So let's get that done. I mean,
The deputy director of Parks and Rec was helping run some of the capital projects out of Parks and Rec.
Right.
He just got hired by the school department to be their deputy facilities director over there to help with their capital projects.
Right.
That's even less help that the city side is going to have to run these projects that we have to do.
Look, I only can speak for myself, but I'm sympathetic to what you're saying, and I agree with you. But there needs to be some urgency for things like you just described. Why can't that person work for both sides? Why can't that one person who already has familiarity over here continue to do the work here and do the work they need there and try to combine those things together? I mean, that would be a great start. I'm not opposed to spending the money, but we just keep spending money and adding projects, and nobody does any of the things that make sense like that.
This was an existing position that had gone unfilled because there wasn't, in my opinion, wasn't enough work for that person to do at the
Right.
present
That was
time.
our-
At the current time,
yeah.
we do have that workload now, and we're not going to be able to accommodate it.
Well, the other thing I want to remind you is this is just an advisory vote that's required by the charter. It has the full city council has the vote on it next Tuesday night. So just because we
Well, I
voted.
appreciate that, but let's face it, if the Finance Committee doesn't recommend a funding source, a funding program, full council's not going to go for that. I think it's very important that you put your weight behind, you as a committee put your weight behind this request, because this is probably one of the most important requests we're making tonight. And I'm very concerned that if we can't do this, we're going to lose our money to do these projects.
Mr. Cannon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Mayor, I appreciate the candor, I do. I honestly wish you had said that before the vote.
Right, so
But I think you identified a real opportunity. I didn't realize that that individual was hired by the school department. I didn't know that. But there is an ideal situation that the administration can capitalize on to create some sort of hybrid. You get someone who's really excelled on the city side, who's going to be fantastic on the school. It happened organically. I think there's a sentiment from the finance subcommittee where we could support enthusiastically that the thing that we've been talking about for a long time, back to when you were on the council, is happening. And I think we would, speaking only for myself, would make an investment for that to happen in some sort of way. So I think this creates the urgency to do that, but I think that move creates I think you've identified the solution.
Could we take a break so I can consult with Mr. Paolini for 1 second?
well, you can consult with them, but this is what I would say. I think you've heard the message, what we have to say. I do agree that we are essentially, because we have no other ability, we are penalizing the city side. I get it, okay? And I think you're probably right, too, that this is probably a very important position. But if we continue to vote every time there's a new position that's needed, places where positions are no longer needed don't get rooted out. There are other places, I would think, in DPW, et cetera. Given the totality of circumstances, I'll move that we reconsider the recommendation.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Motion is reconsidered. The main motion is on the table. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous. You're all set.
And I would like to state that we will pursue what you're asking us to do. I'm not convinced that the people in those positions over at the school department have the qualifications that we need to run these projects. But as Mr. Tessino said, as we transition to new people being available or positions becoming available, we will push to do what you're asking us to do. I just don't think we can do that in the immediate future.
Again, I recognize it's not really in your control, but we're in a situation again. This is the second time in a year that the school department has taken a senior level employee. I mean, that's a problem too. I mean, I'm all for people looking to, make themselves individually better, and I do understand and respect that. But, and the reason they're going is pay. There's no other reasons. Maybe there's other reasons. I can't speak for the people. I don't know. I haven't talked to them. But I would think the driving reason is pay. And, it's just a problem. And we wouldn't have those problems if we had one department to do these things. Because we have somebody essentially doing very similar things over at the school department that they were doing here. School department pays more. I don't blame the individual. They go. If we have one department, we wouldn't have to worry about that. But as I think Mr. Cicino maybe said, not in the way he meant to, but I'll take it for what it said, that they're not interested in the facilities and things like that. And that's the truth of the matter. They're not interested because they don't have to be. We're getting whacked all the time for not giving them enough money. They got a 7.2% budget increase. And, why would they be that worried about spending their money? Next item is a request of the mayor referral to the Finance Subcommittee for